So again, welcome everyone to the Society of Thoracic Surgeons. Our General Thoracic Surgery Database monthly webinar today is Wednesday, September the 10th. On the call with me today, small group joining us today, it's myself, Emily Conrad, Nancy Honeycutt, Ruth Raleigh, Banu Yatsi, and from a core group, we also have Katie joining us today. So thank you everyone for being on today's call. I don't anticipate this will take the whole hour. So I'll just have a few brief STS updates, then we'll turn things over to Ruth for our data manager education. And then as always, we'll finish up with our Q&A. So please feel free to put your questions in using the Q&A function, not the chat. Also, you're more than welcome to raise your hand and just ask your question. We, love talking to you as well. So just ensure that your microphone is enabled on your end. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into our STS updates. As you all are aware, the fall 25 harvest just concluded. So that harvest closed this past Friday, and the data is currently being prepared for analysis. I'll have a report release date closer soon. I don't have the exact date yet, but I'll share that with you as soon as I get more information. Our 2026 harvest dates will be coming soon. I would just go ahead and anticipate our spring 26 harvest date close to be around the same time as this past spring harvest close. I think that was like March the 7th. So I would anticipate looking around the same time for spring 26, around the second week of March. So we'll be posting those 2026 harvest dates soon, probably shortly right after AQO. GTSD audit is currently underway. So for those of you that were selected for audit, as always, if you have any questions, please contact CRS directly. For those of you, if you just have general audit, if you haven't been audited or you just have general audit questions, feel free to reach out to us directly. Emily Conrad on the call, she handles all of our STS audits. So if you have any audit questions, we can happy to answer those as well for just general audit questions. I do have an update on the Data Manager Collaborative. For those of you that have been participating in the Data Manager Collaborative program, the STS Data Manager Collaborative program officially concluded August the 21st. Just know that we have made every effort to pair data managers who submitted a match request by August the 20th. If you've already matched, you are welcome to continue meeting with your peers independently. We highly encourage you to do that. But please know that moving forward, we encourage our data managers to stay engaged by participating in our monthly webinars, regional groups, connecting through the STS Data Managers Facebook group, and attending AQO. So, and we would like to extend our sincere thank you to all of our data managers who have participated in and supported the various iterations of this program over the years. So thank you very much, for your participation. We appreciate it. As you all aware, AQO is coming up in just a couple of short weeks. Our GTSD and CHSD sessions are scheduled for Thursday the 25th, and our ACSD session is Friday, September 26th. Our Intermax and PDMax sessions will be virtual, and they will be held on Tuesday the 23rd. For those of you that are joining us in person, so looking forward to seeing you all in San Antonio. We'll be at the Hyatt San Antonio Riverwalk. It's a beautiful area, and we are looking forward to seeing you all. For those of you joining us in person, we can't wait to see you there. And then for those of you who are not able to join us in person, we do have that virtual option. And just a reminder that this is not a live stream. The sessions will be recorded and then posted out on the AQO platform about a couple of weeks after AQO concludes. And I think Emily, Emily said that you all should expect some emails coming next week. Emily, is that correct for AQO?
Yeah, we'll be sending out a know before you go email with some details about the meeting, and that should be coming out around Tuesday of next week. And we are putting together the virtual platform is pretty much done, except for we're still receiving some presentations from our speakers. And as we get those, they're going up onto the platform as well. So you'll be able to watch on-demand content prior to the meeting, and then PowerPoint slides will be up there as well. So if you want to download anything or print anything prior to going to the meeting, it'll be on that platform. We won't have any data collection forms printed out. We won't have any printed materials at all at the meeting. So I just thought I'd let you know that ahead of time in case you're someone who likes to jot down notes as you go. So the PowerPoint slides that we have from our speakers are up there. If they're not up there right now, it's just because we haven't received them from our speakers yet, and we will be putting them up as we go along. Thanks.
All right, great. Thank you, Emily. And of course, if you haven't registered, you can still register for AQO. Just go out to our website, sts.org/AQO, and you can still get registered. I also I've gone over the agenda on previous webinars, so I'm not gonna walk through, each item here, but again, I just have screenshots from the current agenda that is posted out on the AQO platform. So we're looking forward to some amazing presentations by our surgeon leaders and from some of your colleagues as well. And also we are super excited to have our abstract presentations. We've got 4 different abstracts this year, so we are super excited to have Elise and Kelly and Maria. I think I've got everybody. Elise, Kelly, 2 Kellys, and Maria present their abstract presentations this year. So looking forward to that. All right. And then, of course, we have our on-demand content as well. And of course, for those of you that are not able to attend AQO, again, a lot of AQO was focused on the new version for lung and esophageal. And just a reminder, if you are not able to attend AQO, we'll still be providing an in-depth review of the new data collection form after AQO. We'll have multiple webinars. And those webinars will walk through each section variable by variable. So Ruth and I are currently working on the training manual for the new version. So that is in progress as well. So again, just if you're not able to attend AQO, you still will have the opportunity to learn about the new version before it does go live. Speaking of the data collection form, that will be posted out on the STS website next week. Oops, sorry about that. So you can expect the DCF to be posted next week. I'm hoping it'll be the first part of next week. I plan to have everything over to our marketing department no later than Friday of this week. So it should be available the first of next week. And if you have any questions, just feel free to reach out. So that is all that I have in terms of STS updates. I'm going to go ahead and turn things over to Ruth for our STS education today. Ruth?
Hi, all. We're going to jump into a few quick education points. So the first slide is regarding sequence 610, history of vascular disease. I haven't counted it up, but this is definitely a front runner for sequence with the largest number of FAQs in the training manual currently. So what I did was went ahead and put together a summary of which things we're capturing as PVD and which things we're specifically not capturing as PVD. That way you can hopefully reference this table instead of having to make your way through, the 20 or so FAQs that are posted in the training manual. Most recently, we added chronic vascular insufficiency of the intestine to being captured as peripheral vascular disease. I'm gonna go to the next slide, please. Sequence 740 PFT. If you have PFTs that are either dictated by your surgeon or put in your chart without a date on the actual test, so maybe there's a date that it was filed, but not like a date on the report for the PFTs, please code no to sequence 740, as there's no way to know if the PFTs were performed in the last 12 months as required by the field. That's true even if your surgeon goes through the trouble of dictating FEV1 and DLCO values. If you don't have a date, it would not be able to be captured. The next slide. Sequence 800, cigarette smoking, vaping is captured regardless of substance vaped. You will see in the next version, or you saw recently in the next version, we're going to continue to capture vaping. And it will be continue to be true that we're going to capture that regardless of what the individual is vaping. Next slide. Sequence 1620 clinical staging methods. So in November of 2022, we clarified that clinical staging must be performed within 4 months of any treatment, not just surgery, in order to be captured. What we were trying to do is to account for patients who perhaps had a PET scan and then had some induction chemotherapy and then went to surgery. You still, would have been able to capture that PET as long as it was within 4 months of the start of that chemo. What we did not intend to capture, and what is now clarified in the training manual, is that any treatment specifically means treatment related to either the lung or esophageal cancer that your surgeon is resecting. So if you have a patient who gets a PET and then starts chemotherapy for breast cancer, for example, and then does not get another PET and more than 4 months elapses, that would not be able to be captured. It's a pretty uncommon occurrence that a patient is unlucky enough to have 2 types of cancer simultaneously, but it does occur. If you want to go to the next slide, please. Sequence 1910, nodal station number 3. So sequence 1910 captures all station 3 lymph nodes, whether designated 3, 3A, or 3P. Station 3A and 3P aren't considered contralateral lymph nodes because they lack laterality. They're designated as being either prevascular or retrotracheal. So you can see in the picture on the left there that 3A is pretty anterior, and then that 3P sits right behind the trachea there, which is designated TRA in this image. Then go to the next slide, please. Sequence 2030, lung cancer, number of nodes. This sequence is so important to nail down correctly, and it's a very, very hard sequence to nail down correctly because as much as we think that pathology, reports look the same from site to site based on Commission on Cancer mandates, it's not true, as true as we would hope, I guess. And so we added a clarification to the training manual that says in cases where there's a discrepancy in nodal count between the final diagnosis and a synoptic report, you're supposed to use a synoptic report unless, and this is the new part, the synoptic report is counting lymph node fragments as whole lymph nodes. In those instances, you can use the final diagnosis or other portions of your pathology report to determine the final lymph node count following the guidance that's already provided in this sequence elsewhere. So there's a whole section up at the top that talks about lymph node fragments, and then there's additional comments on lymph node fragments in the March 2025 FAQ, which I copied and pasted onto the slide. At the end of the day, what we're really trying to do is to get accurate counts of whole lymph nodes resected and not capture fragments of lymph nodes as whole lymph nodes when we know that they are certainly fragments. So to some extent, you sort of have to hopefully be able to use your synoptic report, try to get your pathologist to create an accurate synoptic report. But until you can get your site there, you can do the right thing and capture those counts in other portions of the pathology report. Next slide. Just a quick slide on recurrent laryngeal nerve paresis. You're going to capture sequence 4080 as yes, even if the paresis spontaneously resolves without treatment. In that instance, we'd have to leave the grade blank because there's no way to grade something that spontaneously resolves with the current options that are in the training manual. Next slide, please. Sequence 4270, readmission 30 days. Patients that return to the hospital within 30 days of discharge are placed in an observation status for more than 2 midnights should be considered an inpatient readmission and captured in sequence 4270, despite the fact that the ADT remains in observation status. Theoretically, your hospitals are cleaning this up. the social workers at my hospital lovingly refer to this as the 2 midnight rule, which is a CMS guideline that requires inpatient status for patients that are in the hospital for more than 2 midnights. If it happens to get missed in your system, please do capture that as an inpatient readmit, even though your ADT is a little bit off. Next slide. And this is my last slide. Sequence 4310, status 30 days after surgery. A site inquired if it was acceptable to count a patient as alive at 30 days if the patient had simply logged into my chart but not communicated anything or made any, any requests with providers, but just simply the login. And the decision was made not to allow login to be used as validation of vital status because login credentials can be shared with friends and family. We advise patients not to do that, but it happens all the time. So there needs to be something more than just a login to know that your patient's alive at 30 days. I think that's the end of my education slides, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, there's a couple of questions in the Q&A so far. I can read the first one, I think. If a patient has a minimally invasive Ivor Lewis and they remove lymph nodes, do we abstract 32647? Is that thoracoscopy? Is it I can't say that word. With mediastinal and regional lymphadenectomy.
Not unless they do a mediastinal lymph node resection, which is not incredibly common at my site. I don't know, Katie, do your surgeons do mediastinal lymph node resections with esophageal procedures?
No, I think historically we've always said that the esophagectomy procedures include, it doesn't have to be a separate procedure. It's included in the procedure, so that it doesn't need to be added separately.
On rare occasions, my surgeons will do like a separate mediastinal lymph node dissection, but not often. Okay, Cassie, for esophagectomy procedures, if a J tube is placed in the OR, would I capture both 2390 and in the operative section as an other procedure? Or do I only need to capture in 2390?
Yeah, 2390 is the J2 placement.
I generally capture it in both places, but I don't think there's any harm in capturing it in both places, I guess would be my response.
All right. Natalie has a question about fragments in lymph nodes, and I see she had a patient that had different lymph nodes as fragments and some as full lymph node. Do I count each of those fragments as one? My pathologist said she can't give me a number because they are fragments.
There's a section here. Leanne, do you want to pull over the training manual? There's like under the definition for, I think it's 2030, is that sequence? There's a bit that talks about lymph node fragments. So essentially, if you don't know how many whole lymph nodes you have, you would count one lymph node for that station in total. So if they say that they have 2 whole lymph nodes for station, 10R, you would say, well, they say they have 2 whole lymph nodes and numerous fragments, then you could count 3 for that.
What was the sequence number again, Ruth? I'm sorry.
I think it's 2030.
Well, I started in the thymoma section, but that wasn't smart. There we go.
So if you scroll right there, node fragments.
Okay, here.
It goes into pretty good detail there, and I think it does a nice job of explaining exactly what to do. But if you have an example you want to send me that you're confused on, by all means, please do.
Okie dokie. Does bulectomy, is that captured along with primary lung cancer resection? Well, I don't.
I believe that you can capture it as a second procedure. Let me find the CPT code for you quickly, unless Katie has it memorized. I think it's like blood. It is 32655 thoracoscopy surgical with excision plication of bullae. And the definition in the training manual is incorrect in the tech, like the boxes or whatever. So there's a clarification. There's an FAQ from March of 2022, I think, that clarifies the, or September of 2023, sorry, that clarifies the definition for 32655, that CPT code.
Okay. And I put that CPT in the chat, Ruth. Is there a time limit on note collection, specifically if a patient has a resection done for another primary 6 months prior, would capture those notes on the new index procedure?
That's a great question, Brian. I don't know the answer to that one offhand. The core group is meeting.
Hopefully next week, yeah.
We're currently surveying on what date we're gonna meet next, and I should have an answer for you at that time.
Trying to get surgeons to meet on one day and time is like herding cats. Natalie said training manual said to count as one.
Correct. If you have a bunch of fragments, you would count it as one.
All right. Will we be able to download the new DCF, save and document on it rather than using a paper copy to abstract? We post the both Word and PDF versions of the DCF, Heather, so you should be able to download it. Ruth, do you?
I think most people probably just abstract directly into their software from their chart and like have two screens, but
Yeah.
I mean, I would think you would be able to download it and
Yeah.
create copies to write on if you prefer that method.
Okay. Yeah, so we have both. We'll post just like we did with 521, both the Word and PDF versions. I don't know if that's helpful. Did you say that the DCF form will be updated for a future thoracic registry update? If the registry is going to be updated, when is the update exist? So we just completed a data version upgrade. So currently we're in version 521. We just completed the version upgrade where the new data version that goes into effect January 1, 2026 is version 5.26. So beginning January 1, OR dates of January 1, 2026 forward would be entered under the new data collection form, version 5.26. OR dates prior should be entered in version 521 for those appropriate timeframes. And data specs and everything were already sent to the vendors, so your vendors should be working on the next upgrade. Donna said she missed your response to the first question on the Ivor Lewis. Can you repeat it, please?
Yeah, in general, the lymph nodes resected with the esophagectomy are included in the procedure. If your surgeons do like a separate thoracoscopic lymph node resection, you could capture that, but it's fairly rare that they go and do like a pre-op. Like this is what I've seen it when my surgeons have done like a pre-esophagectomy thoracoscopic lymph node resection, like mediastinal thoracoscopic lymph node resection, in which case I do capture it separately, but I don't capture anything for just lymph nodes removed with the, the esophagus is resected.
All right. If a surgeon states they did an apical anterior or posterior segmentectomy, you capture segmentectomy and not pancoast, correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Julie, you thought I'd signed up for the collaborative as I need help from time to time with questions, but I've not gotten an email. Okay, Julie, can you just email me directly and I will get you in touch with the appropriate staff and see what we can do. I don't know where things where they wrapped up. So if you could just email me directly, Julie, and we'll get you some help. Heather, right posterior thoracotomy with right lobectomy and mediastinal lymph node sampling. I don't see a thoracotomy / lobectomy, so do I use removal of single lobectomy 32480?
Yes.
Okay.
So if you look, I'll paste it in the chat, or if you want to drag the training manual over, Leanne.
Okay.
It's on page 76, I think, but 32480. So that's the correct code to use for an open lobectomy. In the comments, it says it can be performed by thoracotomy or sternotomy. Your minimally invasive codes will say that they're minimally invasive. So if you look up just a little bit, Leanne, to like 4120, for example, where it says thoracoscopy with removal of lung pneumonectomy, and then it says minimally invasive excision of one lung. Just look at just take the time to look at the little box under the box sometimes, and it'll help you determine which one you should be using for the minimally invasive versus open code. I think that was a little weird, like on my version, like sometimes they'll split pages and it gets hard to find the bottom box, so I understand.
All right, let me get this back over here. Don't have any other questions just yet, but while we're waiting, our next monthly webinars, our next 2 webinars are scheduled for October the 8th and then November the 12th. Our quality improvement series will resume after AQO. We are super slammed with getting everything ready for AQO. So our next quality improvement webinar will be October the 30th. We will be wrapping up our current quality improvement series readmission, and then we will be kicking off our new series title TBD. We'll announce that on the webinar. Ruth and I are still in the process of planning things out for the quality improvement, our next topic. So we appreciate you guys giving us feedback on ideas during our last webinar. So we appreciate that feedback there. All right. Again, my contact information, Julie, here's my email. If you could just email me directly here, and then we can, I can get you the help, assistance that you need. And if you, of course, have any questions, you can always reach out to stsdb_helpdesk@sts.org, and we can get your questions answered. Any other questions, or there is a question now. Anita, yes, ma'am. The database now states you have to capture a lung primary if you choose thoracoscopic lymph nodes on esophageal cases. My surgeons take these nodes often, and I used to choose both, but the system won. I don't see. Ruth, any comment there? Did I lose you?
I'm here. I don't know why that would be the case. I mean, you can't. So 32674 has to be listed in addition to a primary procedure code, but as far as I know, it's not tied to specific primary procedure codes. You might just be getting a warning. You can ignore the warning.
Yeah, it says I used to choose both, but it flags you can't.
I don't know. I would have to defer to somebody far more technical.
Yeah. Anita, if you could just email the help desk and just give a screenshot of what you're seeing, then that way we could take a look at it and see. I don't know if you use direct data entry, if you're talking about vendor software, but if you could just email that to the help desk and we could just take a look at it and see like the specific warning or flag or error that you're getting. And we can try and help. All right, thanks. All righty. And any other questions? Of course, you're more than welcome to just raise your hand. Here is a question, Ruth, from Nicole. I'm not gonna I'm not, yeah. Do you want to read that?
Patient has T1, C, and X.
Yeah.
Surgery to do cabbage with a small nodule on the opposite side. Patient goes back for contralateral resection due to not being PET positive, and path is saying T4N0, calling it metastatic. Which cases should be abstracted and what coding? I would be curious what the time frame was between the 2024 and the now case. But ultimately, ultimately your surgeon is gonna have to tell you whether they believe the second resection was to be curative or if it just became diagnostic at that point. And if this all is diagnostic at the end of the day, you don't have to enter the case at all. But I would
Yeah.
need more information. It's probably a good case to discuss with your surgeon too. To understand the
Yeah.
details.
Okay.
But if you send me notes for the first case and the second case and your pathology reports, I can put them.
Right. All right. Yeah. I'm not, I was like, I'm not reading that. That sounded terrible, but I was like started to panic and went clinical, and I'm like T1C, what I thought I was gonna butcher it, so I needed you to save me, so thank you. Okay. All right. I don't see any additional questions. Does anybody else have anything to add? If you have any questions about upcoming AQO, audit, anything, please let us know. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Did
Again,
you say the vendors have the specs for the new version?
yes, vendors have the specs for the new version. So we had a call with them earlier this week, just to go over any questions or anything, and there did not seem to be any, pressing items or issues. So I think they're continuing to work through things, and so they have everything version and should be working to get software updated.
I do.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess if we don't have any other questions or anything else, be respectful of everyone's time. Thank you all for joining today. We appreciate you taking the time to join. And so is the new version will be available in IQVIA for DD? Yes, yes, they are a vendor as well. So yes, IQVIA will be ready for direct data entry January 1 for the new version. So thanks everyone for joining, and I look forward to seeing you all in San Antonio. Those of you that are going in person, please come up and say hi, introduce yourself. It's great to put faces to names. So please come up, talk to me and Ruth. We'd love to meet you guys and look forward to seeing you all there. So thanks everybody. Hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and I'll see those in San Antonio. Thanks everyone.
Bye.
Bye.